I am in not so sunny Louisiana today, and we are experiencing some very inclement weather. So while I have internet, I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone for coming to the Spring 1 Town Hall. Hard to believe we're almost halfway through the academic year, but here we are. I'm going to just ask faculty, if you're on the call, just to come up and say a quick hi, less than 10 seconds. We're going to work on our skill of brevity tonight. So 10-second or less, hello, glad to see you. And then we are going to turn it over to our esteemed guest tonight, because I think it's going to be a great town hall for all of us to hear about with the Writing Center. So Dr. Dixon, since it's your fault that the weather's bad, since you sent it to me from Texas, tag you're it, and then
All right.
tag away.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cody Dixon. I'm the Director of Clinical Training. You will spend more quality time with me down the road when you're in field work, but hi, welcome. Glad to see you all.
Dr. E.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. E from Denver. Great to see you all. Happy CM 500. Hello to all my newbies. Glad you're here.
Dr. Erickson.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Erickson. I live in Colorado, close to Dr. E. But anyway, nice to see all of the advisees here. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here for you.
Dr. McCormick.
Hey folks, I'm Dr. McCormick. I'm in Ohio where it's going to turn into snow. But I'm happy to be here with everyone, and I'm happy to see my students that are here this evening.
Dr. Moore.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ruth Bootsmore. I'm a faculty member full-time. I'm in Savannah, Georgia, where Dr. Foster is sending 100% chance of rain and storms to me tomorrow.
I do it because I care. Dr.
Pass it on.
Dr. Troutman.
Hey, I'm Dr. Troutman. Hello, all my interns. I just saw you on Monday. And thank you for considering that I'm only like 2 hours above Dr. Moore. So now I'm like watching the Weather Channel now because I had no idea that we're about to get like washed out. But thanks for thinking of me.
Dr. Lip.
Hey everyone, Dr. Lip here. I'm an assistant professor, and it's great to see everyone. And since I guess we're on the topic of weather, I'm in Florida. It wasn't as sunny as it usually is, but we're not getting any rain. So sorry to hear about that, everyone.
I don't know if you sound sorry, Dr. Lip. You could have left the I'm in Florida part for the rest of us who are not in Florida, but we're glad you're here. Dr. Clark.
Hey everyone, Dr. Clark here. No idea about this weather stuff going on. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have 2 young kids, and I'm notoriously bad at like not looking at the weather, and I just put them in a shirt and pants and just send them along. And my partner's always like, "Why did you put them in short sleeves?" I'm like, I don't look at weather ahead of time. So as a parent, that gets me in trouble sometimes. So thank you all for being here. I'm core faculty. I'm Res 2 co-lead. So I'm sure I'll see all of you, if I haven't yet, in residencies. Thank you.
If you are a faculty member, I'm trying to scroll through the 6 pages of participants, and I didn't call you.
I'll go. I'm Dr. Robinson. So nice to see your faces. I'm in Atlanta. It's cold. It's not raining, but it's cold. But glad to see you here. Any of my advisors, if you need me, you can find me in Canvas or on Outlook.
Dr. Colarusso.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Colarusso. I am the Assistant Director of Clinical Training, all things fieldwork. So if you need any fieldwork questions, just reach out to me. And I am in Pittsburgh, and the weather here is fine for now. So hopefully it stays that way.
Did we manage to get everybody in our Hollywood Squares, Colleen?
I think Dr.
Crowley.
Lewis, you want to come on?
Oh yeah, I'll introduce myself. I'm Pepe. I am in Dallas, Texas, but we are traveling to Disney World tomorrow, so I'll be in Florida for the rest of the week.
Hi, it's Dr. Crowley. I can't leave Dr. Lip alone.
So I'm also in Florida, and yeah, it was a little cooler here today than normal for us, but by a far stretch, much warmer than the rest of the country. So I'm certainly not going to complain, but it's good to see everyone.
Nice to see you, Dr. Crowley. And if we missed anybody, I apologize. Feel free to jump in. Otherwise, we will officially turn it over to Dr. Heidi Marshall from the Writing Center.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I am coming to you from Minneapolis, where it is very cold, but thankfully not snowing for the first time all season. So we've had, even for us, record snowfall, and there's just nowhere left to put it. So I'm very glad it's not snowing. All right, well, welcome. I have a pretty flexible presentation today. I'm going to walk you through how to get to our office, what our services are, but I want this also to be a very question-driven session. So if you have questions, I can even answer APA questions for you if you like, but questions that you have about our services, what we cover, what we're able to do, for you during your time here as a student. Happy to answer all of those questions. And I see some familiar faces, so I know that some of you have already accessed our services and interacted with us in some capacity. So I'm gonna share now. And I notice if not everyone is on mute, so if you could go on mute, that'd be great. Okay, so what we're looking, I'm now looking at my screen, but let me open, I'm gonna put the chat on my other monitor here so I can keep an eye.
I can help with that, Dr. Marshall.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
or try
awesome.
at
Thank
least.
you.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. So this is our main, Chicago School community site. Hopefully you are familiar with this and the student gateway as well. So to access our office, and I will say we have a brand new name, and you've probably been seeing the emails that have come through from us. So the Office of Student Writing and Learning is new as of this semester. And you're actually only the second group I've presented to you about the office. So it's really exciting, but nothing has really changed. So where you're used to finding support for writing is still in the same place. It still says writing resources here, although I will say eventually that might update. So if you panic, if it's not there, don't panic. Now just look for the Office of Student Writing and Learning on this same list of academic resources. So click on writing resources. That's going to bring you to our main landing page. Right on this main page is where you're going to access our flagship service, which is providing one-on-one appointments to students. And we have a number of different ways of doing that. We offer in-person. We offer real-time via Zoom sessions, so we call those virtual meet online, and then we also offer asynchronous appointments. Our asynchronous is probably the most popular because it allows you the most flexibility as far as your schedule and your time. It also does the same for us. And with an asynchronous session, what you'll do is you'll fill out a comprehensive appointment form. You're going to attach your paper or your document right to that form. We don't only look at papers. If you have a discussion, like an especially complex discussion post, your CV, your resume, sort of anything that you want checked for writing, for content, for not specific content specific to your course, but making sure when what you have is logical, what you have has what we call parallel construction. So that's what I mean by content. Anything you want us to look at, we will look at, and you would submit it, and then you'll have a tutor read it, provide you written feedback, and send it back to you within 48 hours. So again, that's our most popular appointment type. But if you do prefer to meet online and in real time with someone, that is absolutely an option. We have a number of content areas that we look at. We have general folks who specialize in undergraduate writing, general graduate writing, as well as dissertation and thesis writing. We also have statistics tutors. So if you find yourself needing some support in statistics, we do have real-time statistics appointments available to all students across the institution as well. You'll see this big link right in the center of the page says click here to make an appointment. I can't click that right now because as I'm not a student, so I wouldn't be able to demonstrate what it looks like. However, please do read the emails that we sent out just last week that welcomes you to the office. There's a PDF attached to that that has a step-by-step for how to make an appointment. Before you make an appointment though, I do recommend you come in and read a little bit about what does it entail, right? What can I expect when I make an appointment? A couple of tips I want you to take away tonight is that think about us not as a proofing and editing service. So what we cannot do, and we would not guarantee, is that if you have a paper due on Sunday and you want it looked at on a Saturday, that one, we would get you feedback in time to submit, that we would provide you feedback that is necessarily going to guarantee a better grade, or that we're going to proofread your paper. So those are things that we are not going to do. Instead, you want to think about the Writing Center and our services more as a way to help you become a better learner and a better writer. I think actually some of the most effective feedback that students can get is feedback on a paper that has already been graded. And that's because it becomes a very low stakes situation for you. So if you get a paper back and it's sort of full of markup from an instructor, maybe it's not the grade that you expected it to be, one, absolutely reach out to your instructor to talk about that. But then come over to us, to the Office of Student Writing and Learning, submit that paper, let us know, hey, my instructor dinged me for points on this, or my instructor said I need to figure out how to create a better, more APA compliant reference list, or whatever it might be. Send us that paper, because then we can go through, we can mark it up as much. You won't feel as stressed out about it. There won't be that strict timeline. And then what you learn from us, you can immediately apply to your next paper. So again, that is my best recommendation. Now, that doesn't mean you can't submit work to us ahead of it being due. But if you do want to do that, if you have a paper that's due on a Sunday night, you want an appointment by Wednesday of that week. So that does mean you need to be a bit more planful maybe than what you're used to. And I know that our terms can go quickly, right? That there's not a whole lot of time from one written assignment to the next. So again, that's why I don't put all the stake into having a paper reviewed if it's due on Sunday. Okay, because we can't necessarily guarantee that we'd be able to get you that feedback. We're also not going to necessarily go through and do a line by line proofing or editing. You're going to see some edits, direct edits made in your paper. You're going to see comments about what do those edits mean? Why did we make those edits? Recommendations for how to revise particular content. Perhaps you'll see links to resources. So you're going to see a number of different types of written feedback in that document to, again, help you become a better writer and more confident in your own skills. So those are just a few takeaways. We are still working on revising this website, because we did just take all of the campus writing centers. We've brought them under one umbrella. Right now, to find our website, you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can come on the left-hand nav here. If you click on the online writing center, that is going to bring you to our website. And this website does now serve students across the institution. So again, this will be this page on the community site will begin to look a little different, but again, don't panic. The information will still always be there. We have this page here on writing review. So all of the information I just told you is also articulated on this page. On the Writing Center events page, this is where you're going to have access to our event schedule. So all of the webinars. Right before I came in tonight, I gave an APA overview on citations and references to the institution. That was recorded. So if you weren't able to pop into that session right before your town hall, don't worry. That recording in a few days will be available here at the bottom of the page where it says view recorded webinar. So you'll be able to see tonight's APA session if you weren't able to attend in real time. Next week, I have a session on avoiding plagiarism, making sure that you know what is expected of you, what to avoid, and how to make sure you're not inadvertently committing plagiarism. The week after that, mastering Microsoft Word, and then a session on moving from annotation to synthesis. So how do I move beyond an annotated bibliography into true synthesis? So keep an eye out. You can click right on the links here to register for those webinars. There were also links in that email that went out to you last week as well. And again, if you don't worry if you can't attend a webinar live, they are all recorded and available on this page as well. But the main thing I want to show you is this website. So again, it's embedded right into the community site. However, I think it's a little bit easier to navigate if you go right to our external site. And I'm going to pop that URL into the chat here. So this is our website. It's a pretty comprehensive set of resources and tutorials for you. You can find access to our webinars and workshops, which I just showed you, our APA resources. So these are all interactive tutorials helping you learn how to cite your sources, how to build your reference list. These blue buttons at the top of each page will jump you down to that section of this particular web page, but I'm just going to scroll to show you. So for example, our section on in-text citations, and I also say this is a very mobile friendly site too. So if you're on your cell phone or a tablet, it should be very responsive. Actually, a lot of people prefer the way it appears on a mobile device than on a desktop. But let's say you've got a source and you're like, I don't remember how to do a secondary source citation. Or I have multiple sources that I need to put into a citation. How do I cite a direct quote? So these are all interactive. It gives you the example, parenthetical example, as well as an inline or what's called a narrative example. Same with reference list entries, right? So I have to reference a website. How do I do that? I have to reference an interview. How do I do that? A definition in a dictionary, music, or podcast, right? So all of these different types of sources, we have examples for those. Also for formatting your documents, right? So APA and the Chicago School have specific guidelines on what your documents should look like. There is not necessarily a single guideline for that because programs do differ. However, we do have a general APA course paper template. On the left-hand margin, you'll see it's linked in several different places. So pre-formatted APA paper, you can download that. It's going to open a Microsoft Word document that has been pre-formatted for you. We also have on this website, and again, this is mobile friendly, interactive tutorials for learning how to manipulate Microsoft Word. So if you click on it, right, is step one, like how do I double space my paper? 2, how do I insert a page number onto my paper? So it's giving you the visual, giving you that tutorial. And again, that works on your phone as well. We also have plagiarism prevention resources. This is really important. I know, I mean, I've never met a student here at the Chicago School who was intentionally committing plagiarism. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But students can still get in trouble for it because not knowing the rules is not an excuse for breaking the rules, right? Just like with the law, you can't, say, oh, I didn't realize the speed limit was only 30 miles per hour here and I was going 60. You can't say, well, I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to do that, right? So you do have to know the rules ahead of time so that you don't accidentally or inadvertently break the rules. So I do recommend coming, even if you feel very confident that you are not setting out to cheat, you're not setting out to commit plagiarism, that you are aware of the scope of all of those things so that you are not caught in that situation. We also have a list of sort of all kinds of writing resources, from the writing process to organizing your paragraphs to organizing your literature to grammar and mechanics. So come through, I'm not going to obviously go through all of it tonight. That would take too much time, but make sure you're familiar with this website. Use the resources that are here. We also have some videos on manipulating Microsoft Word. A lot of these are focused on the dissertation and thesis template, but if you are having trouble formatting tables and figures, we have a video on that. Also on optimizing self-editing tools, you can actually set up Microsoft Word to edit for APA style for you, if you know how to set up the options menus. And so I have a video on how to do that. Also, when you are receiving feedback, whether it's from us in the Office of Student Writing and Learning or from an instructor, if you're not used to what is a track change in Microsoft Word, or what does it mean when there's a comment bubble here, right? We also have a video on how to use those features as well. A newer feature on our website is this PASS tool. And this is your personalized academic support tool. It's an inventory that you can go through and it takes just a few minutes to go through the inventory, and it's asking you questions about your experiences with learning and writing, about how confident you are with your writing skills, what we call self-regulatory skills. So do you know where to find resources? Do you tend to ask for help when you need help? Do you actually read the feedback that your instructors are giving you? So you can take this quick inventory. It then sort of types you into a pathway of support resources. So if you say to this tool, right, I'm not feeling super confident in my APA skills, or I feel like I don't really understand what plagiarism is, you'll be immediately directed right to some tutorials and modules to help you in that area. So again, recommend you come through and take a look at this as well. And if you ever can't find what you need, you're unsure, our homepage has a interactive main menu as well to help you find what you're looking for. You can always email us as well. We're writinglearning@thechicagoschool.edu. And now, because I've just been talking at you for quite some time, and I've not looked over at the chat box, I'm going to pause. Are there any questions about what I have covered? Specific resources that I can show, questions I can answer?
Dr. Marshall, we had a couple questions come through the chat. So one, I'll just read them and then you can address them either now or later, whatever you feel best. So one is, how would one go about becoming a tutor? The next one is, does the Writing Center look over LinkedIn bios or help with graduate applications for a doctoral program? And then does the center also help with grant writing?
Yeah. So let me first address, I might hate to have you repeat those. So as far as application materials, resumes, CVs, anything that you might be submitting, right, to move on to a new program or a new job. Again, we're happy to look at those. When we look at those, what we're going to be looking for is your writing to make sure that your verb tenses are consistent, that you're using the best word choice that you can use to really articulate that experience, that it has a logical flow. It has what we call parallel construction, so that each of your bullet points are formatted in the same way. All of those conventions of just making it look good, sound good. As far as the content that goes into those, we do have a career services center, so you can find that from the community site as well, and they have some really wonderful resources on what should go into my CV, or if I am applying, what should go into that. So and they also have resources for grant writing on here, so there you can see tons of videos on grant writing. And so on interviews, on how to interview, how to again craft that resume or the CV. So I do recommend you come here first, because this is sort of what they do, and they do it really well. Again, we can look at it. We're happy to look at that for the writing conventions, but as far as the content, best practices as to what to put into those types of documents, I would come to the career office for that. I feel like there was one. Oh, for hiring. Yes, we are almost always hiring, because, our tutors graduate, unfortunately, or they move on to internship, right? So we do have a pretty good flow. If you are interested, I actually have to get the position reposted, but you would find it in Handshake here. And it should be posted very soon. But if you're interested, shoot me an email. I am H Marshall. You can just send me an email. And I did have that, again, that was in that very lengthy email that you got from our office last week that we were hiring. My email is hyperlinked in there as well. Tutoring is really great. If you have experience with writing, if you're someone who is inclined to help your peers, we are very interested in that. We train on the job, right? So you don't have to come to us as an APA master. We will help you learn APA. And as a matter of fact, teaching your peers and reviewing the writing of your peers is one of the best ways to improve your own writing and to improve your own APA skills. I would say of our peer tutors who I talked, they say probably the best part about the job is that they themselves became much better writers and way more experience with APA style because they were a tutor. So, was that all of the questions?
I think one more came in. Where can we access the tutorial on setting Word to automatically correct for current APA?
Yes, I will also, if we have time, I can also show you. I can bring up a Word document. Do we have? time.
We
But to
have
show
time.
you, okay, so to show you, so I'm on, so this is our main website. So it's under Learning Tools and MS Word tutorials. So that's our external site, but remember our external site is also embedded right into the community site. If you come to Campus Writing Centers and then click on online, so you, again, under Learning Tools and MS Word tutorials. So they're all right there as well. All right, so if we have time, let me just actually, whoops, sorry, I somehow, you know, sometimes when your Zoom controls take over the screen. So let me, okay, I gotta move this. All right. So I'm gonna bring up a sample paper. Bear with me while I get it open. And this is one I was just using in our APA session. So it has some markup on it. All right, so we should now all be seeing the Word document, yes? Okay. All right, so hopefully it works. And I will just put a little disclaimer out that when I am sharing on Zoom and when you open up Windows and Microsoft Word, unfortunately, I can't make them bigger. So it might look a little small on your screen. But if you watch that video, it is enlarged there. So to set this up, you want to come to the File, click on File in Microsoft Word, and then click on your Options menu. And for some reason, that's not popping up. See if I can get it. Sorry, I apologize. Oh, well, it's not cooperating with me right now.
That's okay. You
Let
can
me
walk
just
us through
try.
the.
Yeah. Let me just try one more thing here. Any questions while I'm doing this? Anything else? Folks want to see.
I know we have some of our
Okay.
doctoral students here tonight.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you have any questions about maybe starting the dissertation process or even resources for that paper, proposals, things like that.
Absolutely. All right. I think I did get the options menu working. So let me try this one more time, then we can pop over. So again, click on Files, Options. So are we all seeing this window that popped up now? Okay, good. All right, so now we're in our options. So this is where you can customize Microsoft Word. So for example, if you hate that it defaults to the Calibri font, you can change that. So you can manipulate all of that, although there is now a big push to do away with Times New Roman completely and move over to Calibri. So don't jump the gun there. But what you're looking for on the left-hand side is you want to click on this proofing option. And then you'll see down towards the bottom of this, it says grammar and refinements. So you want to select that, and then you want to click on the settings. And again, this is where things get real small and I can't make them bigger. So we're looking at grammar and refinement. So essentially APA style, and citations and references are one thing, but APA style in general is they have their own set of grammar and refinements when we talk about APA style. Generally, they are common across with a lot of styles. So you'll see I have almost all of these things listed. All of the comma rules for the most part apply in APA as they do across other writing styles. But there are some things that are unique to APA that you can check for. That would be, for example, jargon. Okay, so APA is very specific that they, you should try to avoid as much as possible industry jargon, phrases that wouldn't necessarily be
just like laugh.
translatable, passive voice as well. So APA really emphasizes the use of the active voice over the passive voice. So I would always set that up to flag the passive voice. Also simpler wording. So APA has a whole chapter on conventions of writing, including what we call economy of expression and smoothness of expression. And in that is, can you say something simpler? How many of you read articles published maybe even prior to like the 1990s, right? So when we think about the way language has evolved, it's evolved pretty quickly over the last couple of decades, particularly academic language. But that, we haven't necessarily kept pace with that as far as what we're reading in our courses, right? And that's just the nature of it. So those foundational, so really this is my very roundabout way of saying there are going to be some things that you have to read in your program that are really almost written in a different language. It's not necessarily the conventions of even the academic language that we use today, because it can feel really inaccessible, right? It's super wordy. Authors rely on what we call circumlocution, which is saying something very simple in a roundabout way. And so just how many of you, quick raise a hand or nod, have read something and been like, I have no idea what that just said.
Definitely.
Right. Right. And it's not your fault, right? That was almost a style, right? It was a way to keep this sort of sense of exclusivity in the academy, right? That there's only certain people who can write this way and understand this writing, but that is really a thing of the past. And so now APA is like, nope, if you can say something simply, say it simply. If you can be straightforward, be straightforward, be simple and to the point and be concise. So you can set up Microsoft Word to help you do that better. So you want to make sure, and passive voice is one of those things. So you want to try to eliminate the passive voice, eliminate that jargon, have Microsoft Word recommend simpler wording for you. Is wordiness, right? So make sure you're checking for wordiness, that if you're not expressing uncertainty as well, contractions, all of this. Age, you can also have Microsoft Word check for bias. So we want to be as bias free as possible. So if you're inadvertently writing a sentence that conveys age bias or gender bias or an ethnic bias, that Microsoft Word will actually flag that for you. So make sure you have that selected. The Oxford comma, this is what APA calls the serial comma. It is a required comma, so make sure you have Microsoft Word check for that. Cliches, colloquialism. So anyway, you want to go through, once you have it all set up, click OK. And this might feel daunting because the next time you open a document, once you have these set, you might see a lot of squiggly lines, right? And that's okay, because then you can start to use this as a learning tool. Is that you look at, I don't know if anyone's ever used Grammarly, but it's very similar, right? So you click on the suggestion that Microsoft Word has, you still have the authority as the author to take that suggestion or to not take that suggestion, because none of these automated tools are perfect, and you are the only person who understands what you're trying to say. So you can ignore a suggestion if you want, but also use it as a learning tool, right? So learn from those suggestions that Microsoft Word is providing you, that your tutors are providing you, that your instructors are providing you, right? We're all spending a lot of time giving feedback so that you can learn from it. All right, so those are our options tools. Let me stop share here, come back to our website.
Dr. Marshall, we did have
Yes.
a question come in.
Okay.
Could we see how Word helps with references in APA style?
Yeah, I actually don't personally use Microsoft Word for that. I tend to default to like the reference managers that the library recommends, but you can build it out. Let me just come back to Word now. On the references tab, so we're back on our Word document, and the references tab. Let me slide my Zoom controls over here. So you can, so it says citations and bibliography. You can click on manage sources. And so you can add sources to this. You can import sources, you can export them, and then you can build a reference list from the sources that you add to this. So with Microsoft Word, there is a little bit of a manual inserting of the information. And then you can go, so if you want to add a new source, add a placeholder. So if you are in the middle of writing, you're like, I just want to remember that I'm coming back to this to add the full information, you can do that. So certainly you can do that. I will say, it's a bit like any reference software, right? Is a little bit of an effort to build it out. But then once it is built out, it can be a huge time saver. I do caution students because I can tell you it is really difficult, not really difficult, but it's more time consuming and more difficult to edit references and citations when they're built in with the reference manager because they are no longer manipulative text. So you have to convert it then back to plain text, edit it, and so forth. So when you are adding this, you want to make sure you're doing it in a very precise way so that you don't have errors. Because again, when you have errors, that can be a bit cumbersome to fix. But certainly I'm not trying to talk you out of it because it can be, especially as you get to dissertation, lengthy, where you have a lot of sources to manage. It certainly can be a big time saver. I would also say, as far as citation management, that is really the purview of the library, and they have a citation and reference management webinar coming up. I don't remember the exact date, but you should have also gotten an email from the library, the university library, at the beginning of the semester with information on that webinar. That webinar is also one that's been recorded. As one of your instructors, I forget who said in the chat, right? We help run the dissertation and thesis conference. I co-plan that with Faye Callista, who is one of our librarians here. She's the associate director in the library. And she hosts a citation reference management session every dissertation conference. So that's recorded. They do have their webinars recorded. So you can go through and watch that. You can also meet with her one-on-one. So you can request a meeting with Faye and she'll walk you through this. I would give you a bit more detail, but this is really more the library's purview than the writing center. So if you want to use a reference manager, I do recommend reach out to Faye Callista, make an appointment with her to get that set up. Right, so I mentioned on our website, we have a number of resources for your writing. And to talk a little bit more specifically about the dissertation, if you click on research writing, all right, so under writing resources and then on research writing, I need help with right? And we can sort of start from the very beginning or go to the very end, right? So planning your research. How do I identify a topic? How do I plan and organize the literature as I dive into that topic? The dissertation templates are also linked here. How do I write a literature review? How do I craft good research questions? How do I write an abstract? So we do have a lot of this information here. A lot of them are pre-recorded webinars. So some of them are more lengthy resources, right? But, just like the dissertation is a lengthy process, it is a bit of a learning curve. And so I do encourage you to come through and ask these. We have a number of resources from Dr. Philip Adu and Dr. Cassidy Pitt, who are no longer with the institution, but they built out a lot of resources for methodology and data analysis as well, and interpreting your data. So we have all of those videos available here. Again, how do I articulate a research question? What is my purpose statement? What's my problem statement? So we do have all of this information here. But I also recommend you make an appointment as you're early on in the process. We have our dissertation specialist on staff with us, Dr. Samara Rasmussen. So you'll see her if you come to make an appointment. You'll see her on our schedule. She is our dissertation specialist. So I strongly recommend make an appointment with her. Even if you only have, a few pages of your chapter 1 or some brainstorming laid out, she can be really instrumental in helping you get to that next step as well. if you do need to find the most up-to-date dissertation template, and I want to reiterate, it is a template, which means that your particular program might have some different expectations for what goes in there. It's a general template. So always be checking with your chair, your department, that you have all of the information you need in that proposal and in your dissertation. So again, from that community site, if you click on dissertation and thesis, I also recommend that you come and explore this page at the beginning of your process too, because it's really helpful to know all of the steps you have to go through, right? Writing your dissertation is one thing, but then you have to go through a number of steps to actually get it approved, get it proofread, and get it published. So it's really helpful to know what to expect at each of those stages so you're not caught off guard when it comes to those. So the dissertation thesis page, they also have a lot of resources here. You know, for the development of your proposal, your oral defense of your proposal. And you can see it's sort of a step-by-step process that they have here. And then if you click on institutional dissertation documents on the left, a lot of these forms are ones that your chair will be working with you on. But if you see down at the bottom, you can download the dissertation templates. There's one with really more in-depth descriptions. There's one that's just the template itself. And then there's also a formatting checklist. The formatting checklist, right, that really should be your last step. You don't necessarily have to stress too much about that especially as you're crafting sort of early iterations of your proposal. But again, it's really good to be aware what is expected of you at the very end so that you're not caught off guard. I've lost the chat window. Here we go.
I was just gonna say, I did put the link in for the library upcoming events in the
Oh,
chat. So
excellent.
if anybody
Okay,
wanted to review those, please feel free. And then I also wanted to just shout out that I worked diligently with Dr. Dixon, and we actually built out a whole module in our CES advising forum for the dissertation process. So you have a place there to upload each form as you go through, kind of see the pre and post signature process and all the things. So go in there and check that out. Where hopefully it's something that's really helpful and will be a resource for you. And if not, let us know. And if there's any areas of feedback, we're always happy to hear those.
Well, that was sort of the list of what I wanted to show. I know we have a little time if there's any additional questions.
While we wait for a couple more maybe to come in, Dr. Marshall, would you mind just speaking to the embedded tutor program that you've launched? We do utilize that in the CM 500 class and 507 for our incoming students, and then our CE 610 class for our CES students.
Yeah, so there is a very good chance that you will see somebody from the Office of Student Writing and Learning right in your classroom. And depending on, they, at the beginning of every term, they work with the instructor to sort of figure out what is the scope of the work that they're going to be doing. So you might see them posting writing tips, either in a discussion or as an announcement. But you will almost always see them working with you on a particular assignment. So they'll work with the instructor to identify a particular assignment. And then on that assignment, you will be getting feedback from one of our writing specialists right in the classroom. So really, it's a way for us to bring the Writing Center to you rather than you having to come to the Writing Center. I think it's a really great service, even if you're someone who's never really struggled with writing before, you feel very confident in your writing skills, or you haven't received feedback that writing is an area of improvement. Trust me, even the best writers are constantly improving their writing. That's why people like Stephen King write books on how to be better writers, because we are constantly working on being better writers, right? So see it as an opportunity to learn from somebody new, to learn something new from someone who's not in your instructor. So it also is a way for you to get that dual feedback, right? Because your instructor is very focused on your content and your knowledge acquisition, and your writing tutor is going to be very focused on how well did you articulate that, and can we be clearer? Can we follow, do we follow the conventions of APA and standard academic English? So that's the intent there. It's also our, sort of selfish way of promoting our services to students right in the classroom and saying, hey, if you found this even a little bit helpful, come back, right? Make an appointment in your next course where you might not have a tutor right embedded in the course, but you are more than welcome to come and make appointments with us at any time. I'm just looking at the chat. So Marta, I saw you asked about Microsoft Word and if it's available. It should be available in, I don't even know what edition of Microsoft Word we're on right now, but I would say, if you've installed Office in the last, 7 years, you should have those features in there. Oh,
And
where
if
can we
you-
look? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to jump in. If you don't have a current version of Microsoft Word, feel free to work with the help desk, because there are some services that are automatically provided to our students, and they can help you either navigate what you can install through the Chicago School and or integrate whatever you have into a current platform, if that made sense.
Yeah, and you should, I'm quite certain students have access to the Office suite as students while you're a student here. So if you don't have the desktop version, reach out to IT and get help getting that installed. So I had a question about where to find Turnitin. Excellent question. So we do have, I'm going to show you how to navigate there from our writing resource page. So again, on the left-hand side, click on online, and then click on writing support courses. And what you're looking for is the academic integrity seminar. Okay. And you can, so you'll see it's kind of hidden in there, but it says access the course directly here. So if you click on that, that is going to open our academic integrity seminar. I'm logged in as an instructor, so it's going to look a little different for you as a student. But you'll see, there's looking for, so a lot of students come here because they are required to take our plagiarism test. You're probably one of them. If you haven't yet, you might at some point have to come in here and do that. So make sure you read the instructions carefully. If you need to access the test, that plagiarism test for a course, if you click on quizzes, you're looking for the current term, right? So right now we're spring 2023, so that's the test you want to take. But then to find a practice Turnitin area, you want to click on assignments. And then you'll see TII practice submission. Okay, so you can click on that, and just like any other course, you can start assignment. Again, I'm logged in as an instructor, so it looks a little different, but you can start an assignment, and then you would go to your grades area to view that Turnitin report. Sometimes it's your first time, it might take a couple of hours, but usually it's pretty quick, just like in your classroom. So you submit an assignment in your classroom, you get that Turnitin report. Same thing here. When you submit via this area though, it is not going to save it to the Turnitin database. So you don't have to worry about submitting it here and then getting 100% similarity when you submit it in your course. So that's not going to happen. It's sort of a safe way to see what is my similarity index when I submit it. If you come here and you don't have access, when you're a student, you'll see when you're on the home page, in the upper right corner here where I have a menu, you're going to see a link that says join this course. You have to click on that link in order to access the assignments. Okay, so if you come here and you're like, I can't see the assignments, they're not there, click on join this course from the home page, and then you should see those just fine. Of course, if questions pop up, please feel free, reach out to me directly, email us at writinglearning@thechicago-school.edu. We will answer questions very quickly, get you the information. If we don't know how to answer your question, we'll connect you with the person who does. And please use our services and reach out if there's anything you want to see that you can't seem to find, also let us know. That applies to faculty as well, right? If you know that students really struggle at a particular assignment, let us know. We can help, create, a tip sheet, a writing tip sheet, or a writing checklist for that particular assignment as well.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall. Well, if any other questions come in, and faculty too, feel free if you think of anything in the next couple of minutes. We just want to say thank you. You've really supported our department with the embedded tutors that we request every term and just all the support with your presentations and things like that. So we really appreciate the Writing Center.
Yeah, our pleasure. Well, thank you all so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay warm, stay dry, enjoy the sunshine if you're so lucky to be in a state where it's sunny this time of year. Those of us in the Midwest are not so lucky.
Nope. I put in the chat earlier, I said I don't even check the weather at this time of year. I'm outside of Chicago because there's just no good news.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dr.
go ahead,
Marshall?
Margaret. Yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to do what you said about the word, and I think I must have messed up somewhere because I didn't get it. I didn't get that. I clicked on proofing, and then I went on grammar and